Photosynthetic algae altered to grow without sunlight. In 2001, scientists have introduced a fundamental metabolic change in single-celled algae so that it no longer requires light to grow. These photosynthetic algae are major primary producers. They are also used in the food industry to make pigments and cosmetics and for other applications. By inserting just one gene that catalyzes glucose transport into the diatom, the organism can thrive in the dark, getting its energy exclusively from glucose. This was done at Palo Alto, Martech Biosense Corporation. Google it. Glucose is a primary energy source for most cells. For their experiment, scientists individually inserted several genes responsible for the glucose transport from 3 different organisms into the diatom. The final gene, GLUT1, and the one that has shown the most promise, is involved in transporting glucose into the human red blood cell and the metabolic processes. This is the first time that eukaryotic organisms has been transformed from a light-dependent to a light-independent growth mode. Keyword, eukaryotic organism. I probably pronounce it wrong, but eukaryote is an organism whose cell contains complex structures enclosed within membranes. Almost all species of large organisms are eukaryotes, including animals, plants, and fungi. It is sobering to think that it requires one gene to create such a dramatic difference in lifestyle. I want to point out this is a scientific press release, and the comment here is, it's sobering to think that it requires one gene to create a dramatic effect in the alteration of a fungi-like organism so that it can completely grow in the dark. Now we're going to snap to the Morgellons Research Institute. Feel free to visit the article yourself while it's still up on morgellons.org. These things have a way of disappearing very quickly in this industry. Please be sure to look at Table 5 in this report that had several $100,000 worth of funding created by the morgellons.org research institute. This paper reveals the findings, looking at the water supply and the hot water tanks in homes of people that are suffering from Morgellons-like symptoms, including cellulose fibers. The water was looked at in the stagnant water tanks and the hot water tanks, and in areas where there was very low light. Slime-producing filamentous forms have been tentatively identified in hot water tank and shower samples, including all these different bacteria, which I'm not going to reach because I'll probably embarrass myself and stumble over the name. One of the things they call you out is that one of the organisms responsible for the creation of biofilms, which is being very carefully studied and is available on our site as a causative agent for Morgellons, is Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and should be not overlooked in considering possible causative agents involved in morgues. Please be advised that this organism can survive with very little oxygen. It can survive in the urinary tract and in a variety of other places. For in-depth information on biofilms, please visit nanotransformation.com and view the article on bacteria, biofilms, and biopesticides by Dr. Anju Usman, MD, I believe from the University of Medicine. The most important thing I want you to understand, and things that I cover in my book, are that these particular biofilms are able to thrive with low oxygen, and they are able to thrive in the dark. Fast-growing confluent biofilm populations are eliminated, allowing slow-growing populations to develop. Okay. The blue-green algae and green-brown algae occupy the lowest tier in the food web as producers, or photosynthetic plant matter, followed by the consumers that graze on the algae and living microorganisms, and lastly by the decomposers. I want you to pay attention to the decomposers as it relates to morgues. These break down and decay organic matter. The lack of sunlight stimulated the formation of resting stages for photosynthetic algae. Therefore, those species able to grow under complete darkness became dominant in the water situation born. The other stages went dormant. The key is to understand that many of these feed on chytrids. An abundance of chytrids may have occurred under the stagnant tank conditions. When I come back, I'll explain what chytrids are, this water aquatic-borne mold, and how it connects to morgues.